Were they from out of town?
I don't know.
Trying to go somewhere trendy?
Yeah. They're like, well, this is like
A little too local. Yeah.
Nashville has a really solid bar scene, like local bar scene.
Yeah, you can kind of get whatever you want. You know, like if you're looking to do real cocktail, speakeasy thing, plenty of those options. But you can also get like real divey. Like the only thing on tap is like Miller High Life.
But the nice thing is, like really anywhere off Broadway, it's not busy from like a touristy standpoint.
No.
So you go to East or you go over there, like there's a few areas that you can go to, and it's just people that live here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have much. I don't know. It's nice.
Even in East Nashville, I mean, I don't know that other than like Pearl Diver, I've ever stood in a line anywhere.
No, Attaboy.
True.
Attaboy's tricky to get into at a certain
That's
time of.
True, but they also kind of set it up to feel a little exclusive.
Yeah, it's small.
They want you to knock on the
small.
door. They want the whole thing. Yeah,
it's small.
I do love Attaboy though,
dude. I haven't been there in a while.
We went a couple months ago. Yeah, love that place.
Depends. Old Glory can get a little busy too.
Yeah, that one always.
Depends
I don't know
what time of day.
I don't know what kind of tourist traffic they get, but it definitely has like a place to see or be seen vibe to it. I do love Old Glory though.
Yeah,
it's cool. I would say it's the most unique bar architecturally in town.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've never seen a bar like that.
No,
it's cool.
I just like Attaboy because I feel like I'm in Star Wars kind of.
It does. It's very industrial in that way.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I'm in Star Wars.
And they're like, and your old fashioned will be $16. Like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. What are you feeling? An old fashioned.
Yeah.
I have a better way to make that old fashioned.
Okay.
And then sometimes it's good, but other times you're like, yeah, I wish I would have just had an old fashioned. Like, that's what I asked for.
When I go to like a bar that has like, they put some effort into like their cocktail menu and whatever else, and there's not an old fashioned on the menu, I typically feel better about ordering one because it's like all those people are like trained bartenders. They know how to make a great old fashioned. Mm-hmm. But when you see one on the menu, I need to see what's in it because it's like, you're going to put something weird in it.
Or it's pre-made.
Oh, that's true.
Or just super sugary,
Yeah. Well, that's typically, a lot of like touristy type places will have the more sugary one.
Yeah.
Because, people aren't used to it. They're like, oh, old fashioned. I've heard of that before.
Mm-hmm. It makes you feel fun and like an adult, like a man.
Or like you feel like Don Draper when you drink one.
Manly man. I do. I like a Manhattan better than an old fashioned.
Those can get so, bitter's not the right word, but just very like syrupy if it's made bad.
True.
But you're right. I do like it. I enjoy Manhattan on the rocks, which is not how they serve it. You can always order it that way.
I always have it up, so I feel like a fancy person.
Yeah. But I also realized I enjoy a martini on the rocks too. It's just a way to order it. They just put it on ice essentially. Or they give you the ice, they shook it over. It's just a different vibe. Anyway, construction, right?
Yeah, construction, Dirt Talk, Monday edition. Nothing but dirt and trucks and blue collar talk around here.
That's what we do. We would never. That was actually all a ruse at the beginning.
It was a ruse, yeah. And now we've suckered them in. Now they're here.
Now you get to learn about the dirt world.
Now they're driving behind the wheel of their F-250 Super Duty as we speak. Yeah. It's about 5:04 in the morning. Still a little dark. Headed to work. Listening to two idiots who are not qualified about dirt world. Talk about dirt world.
You can roll your eyes over the fact that Aaron and I have both ordered a $16 old-fashioned cocktail.
Yeah.
In your $60,000 truck.
You know what? I was thinking about the whole people giving me shit for like fancy coffee and fancy food and all that. Fuck that. If I like to eat well, I like to eat well. If I also like to go on a construction site, I like to go on a construction site. Like how are those two things not aligned? I've seen the shit people in construction spend their money on.
That's what I'm saying. People are spending their money somewhere.
They're spending their money somewhere. So yeah, sorry. I don't have a fifth wheel. I don't have a boat. I don't have razors that I've dumped endless amounts of money.
I've seen some of those side by sides. Okay, those are not $5.
No. They're worth more than oftentimes their trucks are.
Yeah.
So I don't have any of that. I like to spend on nice food. I grew up eating nice food. Sue me. Sorry, I am who I am.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go have nice food. I'm going to go have a nice ass breakfast or a nice ass coffee, and then I'm going to go to a coal mine. Why can't I do both?
Why can't you do both?
It's my brand.
It is your brand. It's also your prerogative.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Get into what you're into. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think there's probably a broader, or there's probably value to the broader mission of like trying to bring folks together who like, if you have this thing in common, it doesn't matter if these other interests of yours don't also cross over with those things. Yeah. But it's just like, if you think moving dirt is cool, you could also have any other interests ever in the world.
It's weird that you have to be a lot of times, and it's not with the younger people, but with some of these more traditional guys, you have to be one of the guys. You have to be this tough guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't get that. Why? We're trying to develop the workforce here. So we need to go beyond the traditional mindset here, or else we're screwed, and that only screws everybody. Yeah. Everybody loses there. It's not like you're still a tough guy and you're winning over here. No, everybody gets screwed in the process. So why don't we think a little bit bigger? Why don't we open our minds to, hey, yeah, that guy might not look like they should be on a construction site, but they want to be here. They work hard. So what's the problem? What's the deal? Or that woman or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's like, what's the problem? I don't see a problem.
You posted, it might have been on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, a bit just talking about like investing in your people, workforce development. And I feel like it got a lot of, I was surprised by some of the comments. Actually, Harrison, insert that clip here.
The construction industry invests almost nothing in people, and then they wonder why they have a workforce problem.
Okay. What prompted you to like go off specifically like that day about that?
I just get annoyed every once in a while, or I'll just be thinking about something like, yeah, the whole industry, our biggest problem is workforce, and yet there's almost no investment in workforce across the board. Mm-hmm. So what do you expect? It doesn't take genius to figure that one out.
Yeah.
And I get it. Margins are razor thin. They've never had to invest in their workforce before. That's a new concept. I understand all of that. But at what point are we going to sit down, take the damn bull by the horns and say, yeah, this is our problem to solve. Let's go do it. I've seen companies do it. Miraculously, do they have a workforce problem right now? Nope. They don't. But they're still dragged down by all of the other companies that do, because we're all on the same team.
Yeah, I feel like you spoke about that recently on a podcast about how it makes more and more sense for like the entire industry to kind of like try to sit on the same side with people who are kind of deemed their competitors, which I think is really interesting, because we've talked a little bit about building your workforce and, hiring using that approach, where it's, like, is the dirt world's losing people to other industries. So the industry needs to kind of be on the same side from a hiring perspective. But you were speaking about it just in general.
Yeah. Everybody's out to go kick the shit out of each other. It's like, well, that mentality is kind of driving a lot of the problems we're in right now. Mm-hmm. We need to be thinking like together. The enemy is not in here. The enemy is out there. The enemy is all the other industries, some of the other industries that we work for that don't give a shit. They're just grabbing all the people they need. And it's frustrating because a lot of these other industries offer no value to these people other than just money. Mm-hmm. The careers suck. And yeah, construction's not perfect. There's a lot of work we need to do as an industry, but at least we have a compelling why.
Yeah.
At least we can give people the opportunity to go out and make a difference every day with what they do. That's something a lot of other industries can't say. And that drives me nuts. Mm-hmm. That these people are stuck in a bank, in the financial industry, or in the real estate industry, or in fulfillment, or big tech, whatever it is. They're stuck in these worlds and they're miserable. And there's this other amazing world out there full of just class act people, humble, hardworking people full of badass equipment, full of community impact that's starving for people. It's like, why can't we connect those dots?
Mhm.
That should be somewhat straightforward. That's possible to do.
Maybe it was with like our media team. We had a call talking about how much interest there's been on social media and things like that about people who want to watch long form clips of just equipment running with like nothing else happening. No music, no cuts, nothing. And to me, like, that's just got me thinking a lot about being on the job site and like seeing that stuff. Like, there is like something to that. It's like, it doesn't need to be dressed up. It doesn't need, and you've been really clear about that from the beginning. It's like, this approach always needs to be simple. But to me, like, that's like, I don't really know what it says about not just BuildWitt's approach, but kind of the approach, like you're saying, everybody being on the same team. But like, there's nothing needs to be adorned in order to, bring more people into this world, for more people to have better understanding for this world. It's almost like it just shows that the real part that doesn't get dressed up is all that's like really important there.
That's always been the premise of the business, is like, we just need to show people what the hell goes on in these places. That's the concept. Is if you're somewhere that no one has ever been with a camera before, it's not very hard to create compelling content because no one's ever seen it. It's novel. That's what we do. We bring cameras to places that don't typically have cameras. That honestly, a lot of places they've never been professionally photographed. They've never had professional video people at creating legitimate content. A lot of this stuff, we take it for granted because we see it all the time, but most people don't see it.
One thing one of our guys did this week, which I don't want to let the cat out of the bag or like say who they saw, they put a GoPro on a drag line.
I haven't heard if they actually got it back because I saw that.
He said he found it. He said it was fine.
Wow. It was a little bold.
I would agree.
That might disappear.
It might be cool and we just might never see it though. I would say that's maybe one of the clips I'm most excited to see. Because like that, like you're saying, like that's an angle no one's ever seen. Like that's brand new. And so that's easy to like make quote unquote compelling content because nobody knows what it looks like. Or even the people who do, like that is such a small club. Letting people into that, I think is a super exciting thing to get to be a part of, which is kind of what we do. It's like just trying to bring people into like saying, see what these people are doing. Like this is rad.
Yeah, I've for whatever reason, I've been on more drag lines than just about anybody in the country. It's weird because we get to tour to all these places, but no one even knows how a drag line moves around. Yeah. So we've had to make videos lately about here is how a drag line walks. Like we just did the other day when we were in Pennsylvania. There was a big old drag line behind us. It was funny. We were filming and I was just chuckling because we're sitting on the tailgate of a pickup truck in Pennsylvania in coal country, shooting some stupid video. And there's a drag line walking behind us.
Like, why are we looking at us?
From like just a backdrop standpoint, like it doesn't get any more ridiculous than that. But that was part of the video, was explaining how the drag line walks itself. And it just kind of scoots itself along the ground. Most people don't even know that's a thing, let alone what the hell a drag line does or how it works.
Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of people like, how did that even get there in the first place?
Yes. Yeah, you don't just put it on a trailer and drive it down the street.
You don't just hook it.
It's a process.
Put it on your hitch and just roll right up.
It's a process. They had one in Florida, and they had to move it from one pit to a new pit. The problem was there were these transmission lines in the way that are super important to this part of Florida.
Sure.
And so they went to the power company. And the power company, they asked, hey, could you guys move the power lines? And they were like, no. And they're like, could you guys turn the power lines off for a little bit and just remove them and then put them back? No, not happening. So what they had to do was they had to basically dismantle the entirety of the drag line down to just the components that made it walk. So everything else that wasn't related to walking got removed from it. And then they walked it right underneath. And then they had to reassemble and rebuild the entire machine before it would be back and running.
How long does that take?
It was months. Because they rebuilt the machine in the process. So it's basically a brand new machine.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's a monster dragline. It's a I don't know what kind of dragline it really is. It might be like a 8200. It's a sizable machine. Maybe not an 8200. I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like there is like a certain breed of fanboy when it comes to draglines.
There's totally a dragline subculture. Yeah.
Really fascinating to me.
Yeah. Dragline subculture. For sure.
It's a very cool thing to be a huge fan of.
They're dinosaurs too, because there are not new draglines getting built. There's new smaller ones, but the big ones, you don't just go buy one of those anymore. You buy it used and you rebuild it, but it's a diminishing amount of those big draglines. And a lot of them are just sitting idle. It's kind of sad.
Just because they don't have the same utility they once did, or it's cheaper to use a smaller one 5 times as much?
No, because there's just been this war on coal. So
Sure.
you shut the mine down and you don't just move the machine. You have to go completely dismantle it to move it.
Yeah, like you said, you don't just hook it to the back of your truck and drive home.
Yeah. So oftentimes it'll just sit there until someone buys it 15 years down the road to go rebuild it and put it back into use. But there's no cheaper way to move dirt than that. I mean, technically you could probably find a cheaper way, but I don't know. I don't know if conveyor beats it. No, probably not. It is like way less than $1 per yard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty efficient.
Super cheap. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
More dragline content always.
Yep. We'll work on it.
I got a couple questions for the Dirt Talk podcast right here.
Great.
So we get a good bit of question. I combined like 5 questions
Whoa.
into one because the way they get asked are essentially yes or no questions.
Do you like to kiss yours? Yes.
It's not that. That is not included in this. But so my question is, what kinds of companies actually make up the dirt world?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the dirt world, the term the dirt world, completely made up.
Did you make it up?
I like to think so.
Because I do see it get used. And so I wonder.
Well, that's the funny. So it's starting to get used everywhere. I'm starting to see it everywhere. And it's exciting because it's like, I think we did that because it wasn't a thing before I started talking about it. We just made it up. And
because people would just say construction.
Yeah, I don't know. We needed a term to explain the companies we worked with.
Mm-hmm.
So we made it up first year of business.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure we're not the first people to put dirt and world together. That said, I think we did make it mainstream, which I'm pretty excited about.
Sure.
It was just the other day. I hear it all the time now. It's like a common term that's thrown around. But dirt world, it goes back to just my love for anything earth moving.
Yeah.
I love bulldozers. I love loaders. I love excavators. Anything that moves dirt, super, super game with. When you start getting into residential construction, framing, and cranes for vertical construction, all that, I'm like,
It's kind of a different thing.
Yeah,
to you.
It's a different industry, one. And two, it just doesn't get me going as much. So when I started out, I'm just going to focus on earth moving contractors. So dirt world, easiest earth moving contractors. Any contractor that moves dirt is within the dirt world. And then we started to go out into really just infrastructure as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So heavy civil construction within the dirt world, pipeline, underground utilities, landfills, anything that's kind of horizontal infrastructure that has to do with the earth, building roads, bridges, airport runways, that kind of thing, I think all applies within the dirt world. Anything heavy equipment related has somewhat become the dirt world. Demolition. So that's kind of what we've settled upon. Mining, of course. Anything that uses equipment to move material around on planet Earth, heavy equipment, is somewhat the dirt world. But primarily mining, earth moving, infrastructure is really what the dirt world is. And it's a made up term, so we can define it.
I mean, because really the question I think is, what is your definition for that?
It's just, we don't go into general contracting. That's a world I don't want to venture into.
Yep.
We don't go into residential construction, like HVAC and plumbing and none of that. So it's anything that's infrastructure related. Food, water, shelter, the 3 basic needs of any human. That's the world in which we live in. So we provide the foundation for all the shelter. all of the utilities for water, food, the infrastructure for something to get from the farm to someone's house. That's the world we live in.
There is one thing that I think is curiously absent from your definition. Agriculture, just pretty distinctly out of what we do.
Yeah. So agriculture, it's just a different world.
Yeah.
Everything we do could apply to agriculture. The thing with agriculture is it's consolidated a lot. So you have these super companies doing a lot of the ag now. It's more of a global market. It's a different world.
What's that? You can go to like
and
tiny
gas.
little small towns, and the majority of like the real agriculture, like business happening, is like massive companies doing it.
Yeah, it's typically it's all consolidated typically, and then oil and gas is also somewhat of it's a gray area. So there's a lot of earth moving and infrastructure work for oil and gas that we've covered, but oil and gas in its purest form is a different industry as well. We like to stay in our lane because the dirt world, as I've found, it speaks a specific language. And so we just want to say, hey, we speak your language because we only focus on you.
Yeah.
And that's what's added, I think, to our quote unquote success so far.
I think what's interesting, as the company was first getting going, it was mostly just like a services and marketing business for companies that we said were in the dirt world. And I think what's interesting about BuildWitt training, which is its own thing, it is software, it is like a product that we're selling.
Yeah.
That I would say that there's definitely some stuff on there that does apply probably a little bit more broadly now than maybe initially our service offerings did.
Yeah, and we've accepted, like, if a general contractor wants to use BuildWitt training,
There's
that's
probably
fine.
a ton of value there.
Yeah, there's still a ton of value. There's a lot of leadership, communication, safety. All of that is pretty universal.
Yeah.
So yeah, if someone else wants to use it, great. But we're tailoring it to civil construction, earth moving, anything within the infrastructure world. That's where we live right now within BuildWitt training, and we're just anticipating to focus there. We have no ambition to go outside of that. Anytime soon.
Yeah, I think to me that the more we've kind of dug in our heels to that a little bit, the more it makes sense to me. Because like you said, there is a very specific language, and the more like broad we make our offering, I think the more difficult it becomes to focus in that way. Yeah,
it serves as a benefit to our business and the industry. The dirt world hasn't adopted technology because the technology companies don't speak their language. So we need to make it, by them, for them. And that's what's going to earn everybody's trust and get us in the door, which it is.
Yeah.
BuildWitt training's been selling for months now very, very well. So because we built the trust. So if we were going to serve other industries too, we'd start eroding that trust, and it's just not worth it. So the only way in really is to focus on the industry.
One thing that I think is exciting about the way that we're continuing to like figure out exactly what BuildWitt training is going to become. Like, we already know we have all these courses and all of these tracks for learning different things, and yet like we're still. I think it was this week, or maybe it was last week. We had a couple people out at a cat dealer just like practicing things for like next courses. That it wasn't filming, it wasn't any of that. It was just like, all right, how can this like have more value for like the next time we go through this?
Well, they were really trying to figure out just how do we teach this stuff.
Yeah, which to me that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they had Jay teach someone how to run an excavator,
and then did not know how at all.
Did not know how, and they sat there and basically, because that's one of the big problems with training and passing education down. It's just in people's heads, and it's hard to explain.
Yeah,
because it's more so, well, someone didn't teach me. I just basically learned through trial and error is kind of the industry standard right now. And then maybe I was yelled at every once in a while, which is what informed my behavior.
Yeah, which told me not to do that one thing.
Yeah, so because they were not taught how to run a machine, they can't necessarily teach how to run a machine.
Yeah.
They can run a machine extraordinarily well, but if I said, "Can you teach me how to do this?" they would struggle because they don't know how to put it into words. And so that's what we're tasked with, is how do we take all of this knowledge that the industry has in their damn heads and
This high level expertise.
and put it into words
Mhm.
that someone can take and put into practice in another place. I don't know the right answer. We're still figuring that out, but we have to be focused on the industry to figure it out in the first place. There's no chance of success if we look anywhere outside the dirt world. And trust me, we've had so many opportunities to go outside the dirt world. It's not even funny. Every time, we don't do that. Making the dirt world a better place. It's in the mission. If it's not in the dirt world, not about it.
Yeah, and I think what has really clarified that for me is the more that, like I said, we double down on that, the more we dig our heels on that, I think the easier it is to say, this is why it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And not just this. So that's what we do. Sorry. It's just what we do, which I think is like, we do have to say it that way, but
But if you say it in a nice way.
we also have to justify it within our own company of like,
Correct.
here's why we don't.
Yes. Yeah. And initially it's because I like it, which doesn't really work anymore.
Yeah.
But there's a strategic reason for it.
Yeah.
And
Well, you've had to get better at saying why.
but I still just like it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's fair. It's called BuildWitt.
Yeah. So Dirt World.
Third world. Thanks for digging in that. Pretty cool. Yeah. So when I say we've got multiple questions, there's a lot of like, do you not consider agriculture part of the dirt world? Because it's just like, I feel like
No.
and that's why I don't ask that on the podcast, because it's kind of weird.
The
It's not
judge,
really-
jury, and executioner when it comes to what is and isn't within the dirt world.
He's just trimming all of it.
See, when you if you don't like the rules to the game you're playing, you make up a new game, and if you make up a new game, you get to make up the rules.
True.
We are making up our own game. We are making up our own rules. We can make the rules whatever the hell we please. If you don't like the rules, sorry, dude, go make your own game. Go make your own BuildWitt for the agriculture world, because I don't want anything to do with it. Have at it, because the agriculture
It's
world,
yours.
everybody knows they need what we're doing for the dirt world. So go for it. Like, our model applies in all these other industries. It's just that we're not going to be successful if we go try to do it for all the other industries, but that's not to say it doesn't need to be done. So go do it. It's as simple as that.
And what I think's fun is our quote unquote secret sauce is a pretty public sauce. And it's hire people who've been in the industry.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean,
and
that's part of it.
the combo.
Yeah, that's
People
part of
who
it.
have it.
Yeah.
But we've gotten some I would say spirited communications about how if we only had I'm trying to say this kindly, if we only had certain kinds of people who had more experience in the industry, then we would be able to like get in the door with larger companies or whatever it is. And it's like, we've hired some people from the industry who understand, and we also bring in people who have no idea
Mhm.
and like marry those two people together business wise. Because we have a broader goal that can't be accomplished using just like one type of experience.
Yeah, like a whole construction company of laborers is not worth shit.
Well, they're going to be good at construction,
They're going to be good at laboring, but
laboring.
no one's going to get paid. There's going to be no permits. There's going to be no work, no materials. Like, you can't go build anything if everybody's a laborer.
Yeah.
There's roles and responsibilities, and it's not that because that person is estimating they don't work as hard as you in the field. Yeah, from a physical standpoint, they don't work as hard as you, but that's not to say they don't work hard. Estimating is brutal. Estimating is gnarly from just an emotional and mental standpoint. It's a tough job, and you need that person estimating to keep the work out in front of the people building it. Everybody serves a role.
And they all require skill, just different skills.
Yeah, it's just the us versus them mentality. It's, I get it. We're tribal. I get it. We're programmed to think us versus them, and I need to be part of my tribe. But I promise you that thinking does you a disservice. It only screws you over. It only screws you. So the quicker you can throw that away and just think, okay, how can I leverage everybody's unique skill set to make this a reality, to build this job, the better off you're going to be. Because those people that don't work hard in the field or work hard in the office, they're the ones making sure you get a fucking paycheck every week. That's probably pretty important to you and your family. So, you like a paycheck? Well, then think twice before you sit there and say, they just don't work hard or whatever it is.
Well said.
Yeah.
Love it. Thanks to all the folks who send in questions that go into broader conversations like that. Thank you very much.
Or the people that there was that I don't work hard online. Like, oh, you just run around and take pictures. Like, that's the easiest gig in the world. I'm like,
okay,
dude,
first of all,
you can come with me on one of these trips if you want. Like, I promise you, we will kick the shit out of you. It is gnarly. It is gnarly just getting to the places we do, the schedule we work. We don't show that though. It's not, and it seems,
because it's just part of it.
I don't work hard when I get to these sites. I'm taking pictures. I understand that. But the amount of effort it takes to just get into that position, and then you're going to talk shit about a guy that's making you look good and getting society to respect what you do. Like, it's like, I'm not out there taking pictures to go fuck you over. Trying to find safety infractions to then go get you chewed out by your boss.
I'm gonna post this on my Instagram and be like, "What a loser!"
I'm there to help.
Yeah.
Like, I'm there to throw you a bone here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, here we are. But whatever,
that's goofy stuff. Well, thanks y'all for sending those questions. I got one more from Josh. He says, "I started my own excavation and grading outfit, and I'm preparing to make my first hire. I'm struggling to figure out how to lead a one-man crew. Any tips?"
Don't think about it that hard. Don't think about that hard.
Yeah, there you go. So that's it for a podcast. There you go.
I mean, it's nerve-wracking hiring somebody, and I think it's good to respect it, and it's good to look at it as a definitely a responsibility, but don't think about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of just pencil out, what kind of culture you want to build, even though you don't have a culture yet, even though it's just you. Pencil out what you value, what's important to you, and go from there and talk to people. And if you think they resonate with you, you resonate with them, great. Try it out. If it doesn't work, it sucks. One of the worst parts about business. But then what did I learn from this? And what were the things they were doing that I need to make sure the next person doesn't have? And then you iterate. So ideally you knock it out of the park. Like, and you can try people out too. Like one of my first hires, Angel, I have him out on a shoot in Virginia. The guy gets delayed flying out there from California. And we were flying into Richmond, but we needed to be in Roanoke, which is like 3 hours away. It's a little ways away.
Yeah.
So he sleeps in DFW airport that night.
Only time he's ever done it, by the way. He's never slept in Dallas-Fort Worth airport ever again.
Yeah. So yeah, very first trip.
Yeah.
And I have to go to Roanoke because there's still a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
I try to get him set up with a rental car, but for whatever reason, he couldn't get a rental car. So then he Ubers from Richmond to Roanoke, gets to Roanoke, and then without a question, starts shooting. And I'm like, okay, well, that's all I need to know.
That guy's got it.
Yeah. So is there a way you can put people into a realistic work situation before you hire them? And if so, that's probably a pretty good way to do it.
Mm.
And you can probably get away with that as a one-man band. So is there a way that you can have them come out and work with you for a day? And so you can see how they work and how they act, because you can start to learn a lot more about a person than just one conversation when you can just watch them do what they're going to be doing for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I might suggest that if you can make that a reality.
I don't totally know his situation. So I'm going to ask a little bit more broad question. If you're going from 1 to 2 people in that way,
yeah,
are you typically hiring somebody that does all the same things you do so you can just cover more ground? Or are you hiring somebody who maybe is less expensive than you, who does some, like, is it just kind of depends on what you're looking to not do anymore?
It depends. Or you just, you not that you not do it, you're probably going to keep doing what you're doing. There's just demand is exceeding your capabilities. So
yeah, I guess you're not just like expanding your company because you want to have a bigger company now. It's like
yeah,
like trying to do all the things you have opportunities to do.
Exactly. Bringing Angel and Chell on a few years ago, I needed to just expand my capacity.
Yeah.
So brought Angel and Chell on. So I didn't stop doing what I was doing. I was only doing more of it when they came on, but I was expanding my capacity because now instead of me showing up on site, I had 2 other people with me. And so Chell was also shooting photos. Angel was doing video. We could just do more. So it's never too early to start defining your culture, because if you don't define it, it is just going to turn into a monster, and it's
going to grow by itself.
It's going to grow by itself, and it's going to grow in weird ways.
Yeah.
So first few hires are critical, but if you make mistakes, that's okay too. Do your best and try not to make the mistakes. But if you make the mistakes, you make the mistakes. It sucks. We made a lot of mistakes. And it's not that any of the people we brought on that didn't work out were bad. It was just that they weren't the right fit for our business and what our business needed at that time. So it's not even against them. And it's like, I know it's so easy for me as the employer to say it's not personal. It's really genuinely not personal. Or at least I haven't had a situation that's personal. But obviously it's their career, so it's going to be very personal to them. But I would go in it with a caring attitude, try to define what you're looking for, try to try them out before you hire them. If you hire them, if it works out, fantastic. Give people time. Don't be so quick on people that, oh, he's not working out the first day, I got to go fire him. I've learned you got to give people time.
Yeah.
Because they could have been abused at their previous companies. So give people time. But if they're really not working out, then make your call, learn from it, and keep going on.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
We do get a good bit of questions, one way or another, going from how do I bring people into this thing that I'm doing?
Just go into it. I just ask people, I wish more people approach it like this. It's not a burden. It's a wonderful responsibility to hire people and to create. And I have to remind myself that all the time. Like Skylar, he had a kid the other day. That kid, that's a new kid that technically depends upon me and that I help support.
And he didn't even ask you if you could do that.
No, and that's a big deal. That is an immense responsibility and one that is really near and dear and special to me. Yeah. And that's how I treat it. It's a privilege to have everybody that we do at our company. So approach it with that mindset. If you approach people from a negative mindset, you're going to have a negative time with people. But if you approach it from a positive standpoint, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. You're going to end up with a lot of great people as a result. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So even just your mindset, just be careful with your mindset about hiring people.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron, for digging into that. Love it.
Yes.
I think that's a podcast here in the DirtTalk studios.
That is a podcast. I guess one other thing we can flip it to, if you're going to work for somebody that is just one or two people, treat it like your business, because
take your own ownership of it.
Yeah. If they're not a piece of shit, which most people in the industry are not, contrary to what people say, you're going to get cared for. So treat it like it's your own business. And yeah, they're not going to be able to give you everything, but the opportunity with them is probably far greater than one of these big companies. So for whatever that's worth too, if you want opportunity, if you want excitement, if you want challenge, if you want to grow as a human being, you're probably best off working at one of those smaller companies.
Yeah. One thing I'm thinking about when you just kind of turn it on its head is, if you're coming into that situation, that's requiring a lot of vulnerability from that person.
Yes.
If this is their thing and they've been running this as a business just with them and they have to expand, it's not just business, baby, we need more.
Yeah.
At some point they're having to be this is, I'm sure there's a little bit of it, their identity's tied up in that business. And if they bring somebody in, well, then it's no longer just their identity. I just feel if you're a person coming into that, I'm sure coming in with a little space for grace for that other person is probably a pretty healthy way to start.
Grace, give them space, and give them your trust.
Yeah.
Seriously. Trusting people goes so far, even when they haven't, quote unquote, earned it.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. So yeah, just give people space. Yeah, it's not your business anymore. There's other people there. And that's a good thing. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
Because the other people can do things better than you can. You can't do everything phenomenally well. So yeah.
Love it.
Hiring people. Highly recommend it.
Consider it. It's cool.
Okay. So that is a podcast officially. If you have any questions, comments, anything you'd like us to discuss on the Dirt Talk podcast, send us a note at dirttalk@buildwit.com.
You can also do it on the BuildWitt website.
Or the BuildWitt website. If you have not checked out the vlog on YouTube, check it out.
Super fun.
We're full bore. We're getting thousands of subscribers a week right now. We're blowing up, which is freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of good stuff on there. You can basically see every trip I go on YouTube from now on.
Yep.
So thanks for following along. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one. Stay dirty, everybody.